Hello everyone and welcome to today's annual Sunday video. And what we're going to be talking about today is the wonderful world of land. Now for those of you who don't know what land does, which I'm hoping to God that you do know, this gives you mana. You need mana to cast cards. Basically, you put down a land, you can put down one a turn, tap it, and you get either land or what it says on the card. Now, there are a lot of different types of land. The most basic type is called basic land. And all it does is, it looks like this, and all it does is you tap it, you get 1 mana. Now, that comes in all 5 colors. Basic lands can also come in some cool art, if I can find some in here. With full art lands being a possible thing. There's a swamp, and here's another swamp. Not just that, but there are a few other different types of lands. These are not basic lands. These are just land. Wow, like creative. Look at that. Wow. And a few of them do a couple different things. This one here, Foreboding Landscape, it says tap to add 1 colorless mana, or you can tap it to sacrifice this and then look for a basic swamp, forest, or land card. So if you don't want just colorless mana, you can tap it, sacrifice it, and then you get swamp, forest, or land. Swamp, forest, or island. You can also cycle it, so if you pay 1 of each of those 3 lands that I was just talking about earlier, discard the card and draw a card. Overall, one of the more complicated lands, but not the worst card ever. Here we got Evolving Wilds, which is kind of funny because you play it, and it doesn't give you any land, any mana when you tap it. What was that? Welcome back to the land of the living, everyone. Let's see if we can... Alright, yeah. Apologies, my good sir. You tap the land, it doesn't even give you mana. Because the only thing you can do is you tap it to sacrifice it, and then you have to search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tap, and then shuffle. The only thing that this card is good for is when you're playing multicolor decks. You can play this and get a different color mana. Like if you're only getting red mana and you need a green mana, play this, tap it. Now you can get a green mana out because you can get any color. But other than that, there's no reason to have this card. Unless if you have a... I mean, there are cards that, like, when permanents leave the battlefield, they do some, I guess, that'd be useful. Now, over here, we have Thriving Isle. We're going to skip this one, save that one for later. Look at that. Now, this is the special little ability of entering the battlefield tapped. And it summons 1 blue mana or 1 mana of your color, but you must choose which color it's going to summon the second you lay it down. You can't switch it halfway through the game. So it can be blue-red, blue-green, blue-white, blue-black, any color. Tap it, doesn't matter. Or, if you want to be a little more straightforward, you can do Rugged Highlands, which I believe is probably the better of the two. Now, it's a 2-color land, so you can do green or red, and also enters the battlefield tapped. But whenever you play one of these, you also gain 1 life, which is very useful. There are other versions of it, like this one, Tranquil Cove, which is a white-blue. And there's a couple other, like Sun Petal Grove, which I believe is white-green. Last one back here, we have Riptide Laboratory. Not only does it tap to add 1 colorless mana, it has a second ability. pay 2 mana, one of which has to be blue. Tap this. Return target wizard you control to its owner's hand. Now, wizards, I don't know. I don't have a lot of wizards. I prefer just throwing random crap into a deck. But I assume most wizards, or at least the ones that I have, whenever they leave or enter the battlefield, they do something. So that's like probably the main reason why you'd want that. Don't know, it seems like a little bit of a useless ability other than that, but I mean, hey, colorless mana is colorless mana. Now, some artifacts can produce land, and while I don't have one on me, right? Let me check. Yeah, I don't have one on me. But one of the ones that I'm thinking of is called Sol Ring. You play 1 mana, any color, and you then you get, I can't frickin' speak today. You pay 1 mana to get the card called Sol Ring. When you tap it, it is 2 colorless mana whenever you want, as long as you tap it. Overall, very, very good card. I really, really like it. I'm trying to find a place where I can reasonably buy one, but turns out I can't. Because it's a really, really good card and everyone wants it. Overall, there are many, many different things that you can do with land. Many, many different types of land. And it really just goes around your playstyle. Now, one other big thing that comes about land is deck composition. How much land do you want in a deck? Now, in a 60-card deck, I prefer to have 25 lands. I prefer to have a lot of land because then I can cast more expensive cards or, you know, just have a more reliable source of mana. If you put too little, like 20 or 15, then the chances of you getting mana are way lower and you can't do development as easy. But if you do a higher number, like 30 or 35, you're cycling through mana like crazy and you don't actually have any creatures. But overall, I see 25 as the perfect point. Some other people will disagree because they like cheap little creatures that can go out, you know, like mono red players that play a goblin a turn because it's all they can afford. But anyways, that will be it. If I missed any interesting lands, you should, like, tell me, and maybe I'll review it one of these days. That'd be cool. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'm going to see you guys next week.